BBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I just think it's time to call Donald Trump what he is. He is far right. At the very least, he panders to the far right because he thinks that will help him get elected. But doesn't that make him, in a way, even worse? If he doesn't truly believe the sort of filth that he retweets, that just makes him... well, it makes him worse because he's prepared to do something he doesn't believe in, which is despicable, in order to become maybe re-elected. 0345 6060 973. I want to read you quickly a tweet that John Cleese did that was retweeted, has been retweeted many, many times. I've done a screenshot of it, but rather than read that, I'll go to his accounts just to see how many times it has been retweeted, and we can see it here. It's now been retweeted 17,500 times and favourited 44,500 times. And this is what it is. Very funny. He read it out, or I read it out on stage when I was interviewing him a few hours ago. So, he says, here is the news this morning. The leader of the free world is now completely unhinged, but we can't do anything at all about it because he has rock-solid support from racists and all the very rich Republicans who badly need another tax cut. And now, the weather. It's a very, very, very funny way of John Cleese putting it. The point is that there is a racist, I think, in the White House, and I want to know what you think. You see, if Donald Trump isn't racist, he's a pretty gross sort of person to pander to racism. It makes him just as bad as a racist, I think. What do you think, though? 0345 6060 973. Particularly like to hear from you if you're Muslim. Why? Because, well, you are the person, one of the people that this guy, this maniac in the White House is targeting. And I want to hear your view. Let's start with Abbas, who's in Redbridge. Abbas, very good morning.
Hi there. Good morning. I think it absolutely makes him a racist, and I think a lot of people who do, I think, put the boot in with Islam, saying it's not a race, it's just a religion, so it's fair game. I think some of them, I'm not going to say all of them, because I think that would be wrong to judge everyone, in a derogatory manner, which is exactly what Muslims don't want other people to do to them. But I think a lot of them are racist, because I think most Muslims happen to be brown-faced. And come from generally the Eastern Hemisphere.
You can, of course, convert. You can be white and Muslim, which is...
Of course. Well, yeah. My wife is. So my wife is. So, clearly you can be white and you can be Muslim. But what I'm saying is that the vast majority are not. So it's a very easy way of...
but also it's it's targeting the person, whether or not you describe Islam as a race, and it isn't, technically. The point is that if you're targeting Muslims, you're targeting a group of people. You're not just targeting the faith, and I think all faiths should be fair game. If anyone wants to call up this show and have a go at the Quran or have a go at the Bible, fine. I think it is your democratic right to do that in a free society, so long as you're not inciting hatred against people or a group of people. And that's what Trump clearly is doing. He's retweeting videos that say Muslim at the beginning.
Well, there's two things there, really. Number one is that, certainly one of the tweets in particular was proven very, very quickly to be false. And he was aware of the fact that it was false. That
doesn't interest me. Whether it's false or not doesn't interest me. The point is he retweeted something, whether or not he believed it was false, he retweeted something with the point of which was, watch out for Muslims because they go around beating up disabled people.
No, clearly that was wrong. I'm not saying it was right. No. That was very bigoted, and it was, in my view, it was racist. But what I'm trying to say to you, Matt, is that even after it was proven to be wrong, he still didn't remove the tweet. And there were people still phoning LBC and other, radio and TV shows and movies saying that, well, actually, it might be false, but he's got a point. He's got this. What I'm trying to say is that there seems to be this predisposition in many people's hearts and minds now, where even reality of truth or lie is irrelevant. As long as it feeds their predispositions, they're quite happy. But I'd like to also refer very quickly to Paul's comment that he just made. And he said that...
Paul in Brecon.
He's saying that Muslims cherry-pick Islam to make it sort of seem very sort of, cushy and nice and what have you.
He was saying some Muslims do, and I think he doesn't feel threatened by those Muslims, yeah.
Right, but I think Paul's got it in the opposite way, quite frankly, because I think It's the extremist, fanatics, morons who go and cherry-pick and take things out of context. And it's people, unfortunately, like Paul, who take things out of context and regurgitate the same stuff that they read on the internet as some form of, evidence or proof against Islam. This question about what Muslim countries do around the world, of course, some of those actions, a lot of the actions that they do are deplorable. But when we actually look at the geopolitical issues, the economic issues, the lack of education, when we look at the lack of literacy, when we look at all of these factors, they have a far greater influence on bigotry, racism and extremism than any religion has.
Abbas, let me quickly ask you this, because I want to bring Yasmin in. And the question is this. Paul was talking about a survey that he said that half of British Muslims think that homosexuality should be illegal. So I've looked this up, and here we find on The Guardian's website from April 2016, British Muslims, it makes two important points. British Muslims, and the first would argue strongly against the gist of what Paul was saying. British Muslims are more likely to feel a stronger connection to Britain than the population at large. The research suggesting that 86% of British Muslims feel a strong sense of belonging in Britain, and that's higher than the national average of 83%. But, and this is important as well, it also found that more than half of British Muslims, and I think this was only a survey of about 1,000 people, more than half of British Muslims think that homosexuality should be illegal. Now, it is anyone's right to think homosexuality should be illegal, but I believe it's a pretty deplorable position to hold. What do you say to that, Abbas?
Well, there are lots of factors. The most important factor is this. When you're living in a non-Muslim country, you abide by the laws of that country. This is the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Even if they go opposite to your own sensibilities and your own...
But do you think that homosexuality should be outlawed, Abbas?
Well, that's my point. My point here is this. Homosexuality, within the context of the Sharia or Islam, if it's done in private, the government or anybody else has no right whatsoever to pry on or to find out what's happening or what you're doing. The act of homosexuality or sodomy, even between a man and a woman or a man and a man, there is only a punishment or a forbidding of such a thing in public.
Well, not many people go around sodomizing each other in public. Abbas,
exactly.
would you prefer men? Would you prefer men not to be kissing in public?
I don't believe that men or women should really be kissing in public. But if people do, I live in England and I respect the laws and the sensibilities of this country. And I can ignore it. I can look away.
Abbas, thank you very much. You've had your say, and you've made some very interesting observations and responses. And I don't want to look away if men kiss each other in public or women, so long as they do it discreetly.